What do you think is the monetization angle ultimately here for the investors that are listening to us? Because I've seen already Zuck post about monetization not coming immediately.
Absolutely. Well, just to put this into perspective, I mean, 30 million users is an incredibly strong start. At Insider Intelligence, we're expecting Twitter to have about 56 million users in the US by the end of 2023. So that just gives you some context for how many people Threads was able to have sign up just overnight. In terms of the monetization, ads are Meta's bread and butter. And I would assume that any monetization strategy for Threads would include advertising. That said, I'm expecting that Meta will wait until Threads really reaches scale before they bring on any sort of monetization opportunities.
Zuck himself saying, look, we want to get to 1 billion here. How quickly do you think they can scale to 1 billion? And is it really the area, the focus, the number you want to see?
Well, I mean, Meta obviously has the scale, it has the resources, and it has the execution strategy to scale Threads. I do think, the challenge will be in keeping up the momentum that we saw yesterday and that continued into this morning. It is a new app, and there are very few new apps that are able to keep up that growth rate that Threads has seen already. And I also think that, Meta will have to continue innovating. We'll have to keep Threads interesting. Right now, its simplicity and its bare bones UX are some things that really are attractive to users, especially those that are tired of the chaos and the ad hoc changes at Twitter. But eventually, it is going to have to innovate to keep people engaged and on the app.
And as many would say, innovation is Elon's strong point, and Linda Yaccarino, Ed, brings, the monetization strategy for Twitter as well. But you've been tracking ultimately how the growth of Threads compares, right?
Yeah, and I'm interested, Jasmine, in the mechanics of how they got Threads off the ground. You have to have an Instagram account. And what I did was I went through Twitter's S1 back in 2013, and they hit 30 million users at the start of 2010, sort of 4 years into the life of the platform. This link with Instagram seems to have given them a fast start. What's your assessment of that?
I think it was incredibly smart. It was really easy to sign up for Threads. You could port your Instagram account. You could port your Instagram followers directly onto Threads. I think there are some people who don't necessarily want to transport their Instagram followers, their audiences, over to this new app and want to keep these two separate. But overall, in order to sort of supercharge the growth, I think this was a spot-on move from Meta.
Jasmine, what's your experience been using the platform? What do you like about it?
I mean, it's been really easy to use. The user interface has been fantastic, and it's been fun so far. I don't know how long that will last, but for now it feels like an early Twitter 1.0 with an Instagram twist, some more photos and visuals on the platform. I haven't left Twitter yet, though. I'm still on both, which just means that there are more apps now than ever to post on.
And we are kind of all a bit exhausted by it, Jasmine, to a certain extent. One group of people who aren't going to be exhausted by Threads is Europe, because it's not there yet. We understand the regulatory overhang. What do you make of that, delay? Is it opportune for Meta to push back against regulators in Europe?
Well, it's certainly going to be a challenge for Meta. I mean, Meta needs to convert 1 in 4 Instagram users in order to make Threads as big as Twitter is worldwide at the end of this year. Europe is a really big market for them, and it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be an issue if it's not able to launch there. Now, some of the reasons that it has delayed the launch of Threads, potentially being the DMA, are issues that will affect all of the social apps. It's not just Threads and it's not just Meta, but it does point to this larger picture of how difficult it is really to bring new apps and products to market.
Let's go back to the technology. There is an algorithmic and machine learning powered part of each feed. What is your assessment of which is better, Twitter or Threads at this point?
Well, I think it certainly depends. Threads is very new, and I haven't had a lot of time to tinker around with it. I think what's really interesting and what I've been thinking a lot about is how people are going to be using Threads. Are they actually going to be using it for the same use cases as we were using Twitter or continue to use Twitter, meaning keeping up with news and world events? Now, news has been somewhat of a sore spot for Meta on its other platforms, Facebook in particular. And I'm not sure that, the Instagram usage translates naturally into news and world events the same way that it does on Twitter. I don't necessarily think that Meta needs to be as strong a player in those arenas, though, to make Threads a real threat to Twitter as it is.